Have you ever worked somewhere where the rules felt, well, just a little bit ridiculous? Where common sense seemed to take a backseat to some unspoken, rigid doctrine, usually enforced by a manager who seemed to thrive on making life just a tad bit harder than it needed to be? If you have, then you're going to love this story. It's a classic tale of a small, seemingly insignificant act leading to a massive, karmic boomerang effect that left one boss paying a hefty price for a lesson in workplace flexibility. And while you're listening, why not take a quick second to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below sharing your own tales of workplace absurdity. It really helps the channel. So, imagine this: I was working as an architect at a pretty well-established firm. My days were filled with blueprints, structural calculations, and complex client meetings. It was a demanding job, but I enjoyed the challenge. One afternoon, my daughter, who was absolutely buzzing with excitement for her upcoming birthday, mentioned how much she loved a particular cartoon character and wished her invitations could feature it. Being a pretty decent Photoshop user, and wanting to make her day special, I figured I could whip something up quickly. I had a lull between tasks, maybe 10 minutes, max. It was a simple, innocent request from my kid, and an even simpler favor from Dad. I opened Photoshop on my company laptop. It was right there, easily accessible, and in about the time it takes to brew a cup of coffee, I had a cute, custom birthday invitation draft ready to go. No big deal, right? Just a little personal touch, not interfering with work at all. Well, apparently, it was a big deal. Later that week, I was sitting with my boss, reviewing some project files on the very same laptop. We were scrolling through recent documents, and there it was, a thumbnail of my daughter's cartoon-themed birthday invitation peeking out from the recent files list. My boss, a man who believed firmly in the sanctity of work-only zones, spotted it. His eyes narrowed slightly, a subtle but unmistakable shift in his demeanor. He cleared his throat, not loudly, but with a deliberate firmness that demanded attention. "That computer," he stated, his voice even, but edged with an undeniable chill, "is for work only." I remember just looking at him, a moment of silence hanging in the air, thick with unspoken implications. What was I supposed to say? Argue? Defend a 10-minute act of paternal affection? No, I just said, okay. It was a simple word, but it carried the weight of resignation, of acknowledging a rule I found utterly petty, yet was powerless to change. It was a quiet agreement to his terms, but it planted a tiny seed of something else in my mind too. A quiet understanding of exactly how he played the game. Fast forward just a few days. A critical project came up that required an on-site survey in another city. It was a significant building, and I needed to gather precise measurements and structural details. The company provided me with all the necessary tools for the job: laser distance measures, tape measures, even a specialized tablet for taking notes and logging data. I packed my bags, booked my flights and hotel, all on the company dime, of course, and set off. I spent a full day on site, meticulously documenting every corner, every angle, every dimension of that building. I used only the equipment the company had provided. My personal phone, a perfectly capable device with an excellent camera, stayed tucked away in my pocket. Why? Because the computer is for work only, and by extension, so was everything else deemed company property or utility. I had taken my boss's directive to heart, with an almost religious fervor. Upon my return to the office, my boss, eager for an update, called me into his office. He was keen to see the internal layout, the state of the various rooms. "So," he began, leaning back in his chair, a look of anticipation on his face, "have you downloaded the photos yet? I want to see the inside of the building." I paused for a moment, a tiny, almost imperceptible smile playing on my lips. "Photos?" I asked, as if the concept was foreign. "Oh, no, I hadn't taken any photos." His brow furrowed. "What do you mean you didn't take any photos? Why not?" I looked him dead in the eye, my voice calm, perfectly neutral. "Well," I explained, "my phone is personal, and as you said, company equipment is for work only. I didn't want to mix personal and professional use, especially after our conversation earlier in the week." The silence that followed was deafening. I could practically see the gears turning in his head, the blood pressure rising. His face, usually a mask of corporate stoicism, twitched almost imperceptibly. He was furious, I knew it. Absolutely incandescent with rage on the inside. But he couldn't show it. Not outwardly, not to me. Because months earlier, I had actually approached the company, asking for a dedicated work phone. I'd explained that using my personal device for client calls, on-site photos, and company emails blurred the lines, consumed my personal data, and sometimes made me feel like I was always on the clock. Their response? A polite but firm refusal. Too expensive, they said. Unnecessary. Use your own phone, they implied. So, I had done exactly that. I had used my own phone for my own purposes, and not for theirs. He was trapped in his own web of inflexible, penny-pinching policies, and the irony was, frankly, delicious. He just stared at me, his jaw clenched so tight I thought he might crack a tooth. He couldn't scold me, couldn't argue. I had simply followed his rules to the letter. His own rules. There was nothing he could say without completely contradicting himself, without admitting that his work-only philosophy was, in fact, incredibly short-sighted when applied selectively. The tension in that room was palpable, a silent battle of wills that I knew, deep down, I had already won. The very next morning, a brand new, gleaming Samsung smartphone appeared on my desk. Fresh out of the box, still radiating that new electronics smell. No note, no explanation, just a new company phone, ready for activation. And guess what? The day after that, I was back on a plane, heading to the exact same city, to the exact same building. This time, armed with my company-issued phone, I spent another full day taking all the necessary photos. The company, of course, paid for everything again, the round-trip flights, the hotel stay, the meals, the taxi fares, my per diem for another day away from home. All the doubled expenses. All because of a 10-minute favor that got spotted, and a boss who chose inflexibility over common sense. It's truly incredible how much a company will pay to avoid admitting they were wrong, or to maintain a petty, arbitrary rule. That second trip alone, with flights, accommodation, and my salary for an extra day, easily ran into the thousands of euros. a €1,000 bill, all to avoid letting an employee use Photoshop for 10 minutes or snap a quick photo on their personal phone. It was a stark, expensive lesson for my boss and for the company. Sometimes, the most rigid rules end up costing you far more in the long run than a little bit of flexibility ever would. It's a reminder that good management isn't about enforcing every single policy to the letter, but about understanding the bigger picture, and knowing when a little leeway can save a whole lot of trouble and money. What do you think about this situation? Have you ever had a boss whose petty rules backfired spectacularly? Share your stories in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more tales of workplace drama and justice, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, stay sane out there, and remember to pick your battles wisely. Sometimes, the universe picks them for you.